struggling. Take five. Capitalism sucks. Capitalism sucks because in order to succeed within the capitalist system, it is much easier to step on others to push yourself up than it is to create a moral system where you can consistently sustain yourself without having to worry about where your resources are going to come from. The reason it sucks for most people is that they operate in the system where they promise their time in the future for resources right now. This is credit debt, this is student loans, this is any loan that you take out, really. It is a system where you are promising a party that you are going to work in the future for money that you used in the past, essentially. And that is slavery. That's why it sucks, because you don't have access to any of your own resources. You have to rely on everything else to provide those resources for you. And yeah, that's slavery, and that's why it sucks. But here's the thing, is that when you don't operate in a system where capitalism is life and death, you operate in a system where your resources will be provided for you, regardless of if you participate in the system or not. You have a very different outlook on it. And I think these people understand, we can call them the Nepo babies for, a general term, that capitalism is kind of, not even kind of, it just is, it's a game. Capitalism is a game system that allows you to move up or down in society. And it determines the people that are in the upper ups of society and in the lower lows of society. And if capitalism is a game, you can win or you can lose. You can't do anything else. You can beat the game or you can lose at it. And in extreme terms, to lose the game of capitalism is just dying. But if you are actively losing at the game of capitalism, then what does that look like? Well, like I mentioned before, promising the time you spend in the future for money you spent in the past. That's just slavery, and it sucks because you're trapped there. You don't have anywhere to go because you have to work in the future, and if you're in a loop of that, well, fuck, you know what I mean? So what does winning look like? Well, winning at capitalism would be providing yourself with the resources that you need without having to worry about where those resources come from or how you're going to get the money for those resources. And there are two ways to go about the winning process. Most common way number one, is to get enough money for your lifetime, or generally for more than your lifetime, so you don't have to worry about money ever again. It's very simple, very mathematical, very portrayed in the mainstream media. That's not necessarily the only way to win at capitalism. Way number two is to get to a place where you have systems established where you no longer have to worry about money sustaining your resources. And now what does this look like? Well, the most accessible example right now is probably a homestead in Puerto Rico. Like, you've got 2 to 3 acres of land, you've got a greenhouse, you've got some hydroponics, you've got solar energy, you don't really use that much energy anyway, you collect rainwater, you don't have to worry about money to sustain your livelihood. Even if you don't have a job and you don't have a source of income, you can live on that little plot of land for the rest of your life as a little hermit, and you'll be okay. You'll survive. Maybe you'll get cancer at 70 and kill over, but hey, pretty good life. Caveman lived for like 40 years, so, count your blessings. I think that 2 is quite primitive, for the modern technology that we have access to today. What I mean by that is there's this idea that you need to go live in the mountains, or you need to go buy some 5-acre land 2 hours from a city to achieve that level of sustainability. And that's not true. That is not true at all. In fact, I would refer to that as bullshit. You can't say that if I don't prove it. So here are the 3 phases that I'm going to go through to morally win the game of capitalism. Phase 1. Getting the most important resource down, second most important, but easiest resource to get down for the least amount of money is food. I need to grow my own food, and I need to grow enough of it to sustain myself for a year. Fuck. Put me at like 3,000 calories a year because I'm a big back. 3,000 calories, 365. 195,000 calories in a given year. Now, that's gonna be hard, but I think I can do it. I have access to a yard, and I have a rather niche expertise in hydroponics, but I also have a fruit tree, and I also have perennial raspberries that have been there since I was a child. So, if I can grow enough food to sustain myself, that means I can cut my grocery bill in half, and I can spend that money on other things. Not only that, but I can sell the products that I grow because, like, I'm not just gonna eat the shit that I have. I mean, I'm not a fucking caveman. If I'm growing enough calories for myself and I want to supplement those calories with other sources, maybe I want more protein, then I have those resources that I can now distribute to other people for a reasonable price. With that money that I have, now that I've established a groundwork for my own food, I can move on to phase 2. Phase 2 is water. You need water, and especially in today when we want to build a fucking data center in every city that we fucking have access to, we're gonna need our own water. The average roof collects about 28,000 gallons of water a year. You need about like 400 a year to sustain yourself. You'll be good off of that, but obviously your house needs more water. You want to take a shower, you want to take a bath, things like that. Later down the line, we can figure that out, but first things first, you gotta get water online for at least your garden that you've established because you need your own food, and yourself, you know, filter it, drink it. You don't have to buy water for yourself or anything else. You can give it to your cats or your family. You can do that and then have that and then establish it for your own household at a later date. Third phase is energy. Now, this is the third phase because it is the hardest and it is also the most expensive. So, here's the deal. The average US household uses about 25 to 30 kilowatt hours of energy per day. So, you need that amount of energy to power your house per day. In solar panels, that is 12-ish 320 watt solar panels. Those are about $1,200, so plus tax, it's like, I calculated it out, $16,000. That's expensive, but remember, you've got the food growing already that you're selling to other people, making a little extra buck. So down the line, you save up the money, you get the solar panels, you're good. Once you have these 3 resources established, food, water, energy, you now have a lot more free time to build on these systems that you already have. You know, now that you've got enough energy for yourself, now maybe it's time to look into a way to connect your water collection system to a pipe in your house so that your house no longer uses water from the grid, it just uses its own. Second thing is establishing a wider variety of food. For instance, you've got money now, so maybe get a 3D printer, print a lot of hydroponics. Where's my doohickey? 3D print hydroponics very easily. This was like maybe $15 to produce. I could stack 4 more towers on here. It'd be the exact same price, damn near. Just buy little pumps, figure it out. I'd have way more, but my fucking printer exploded. I'm really sad about that. But once you have these 3 systems established, you can build upon them to where not only are you sustaining yourself entirely, you're now producing more than you need. And what happens when you produce more than you need? Well, you can profit off of it. And it's just a rinse and repeat bubble. And then, long as you avoid paying into destruction, essentially, I don't see what's wrong with that. And also the point is kind of, once you have enough for yourself, you can give to other people and help them get to the same place so that then you can work together and build even greater systems. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the goal, but we need to get the 3 things down on an individual level for ourselves if we want to progress anywhere in society instead of becoming rotting drones for the elites, something like that. I don't know. This is a trash video, but it's kind of important. Gotta redo it. Phase 1 coming soon when I show you what I did to my backyard. Trust me, it's disgusting.